Marc-Pierre de Voyer de Paulmy, Comte d'Argenson was a French politician. Biography. D'Argenson, a younger son of Marc-René de Voyer de Paulmy d'Argenson, was born on 16 August 1696. Following the family tradition, he studied law and was councillor at the Parliament of Paris. He succeeded his father as Lieutenant General of Police in Paris, but held the post only 5 months. He then received the office of Intendant of Tours, and resumed the Lieutenancy of Police in 1722. On the 2nd of January 1724, d'Argenson was appointed Councillor of State. He gained the confidence of the Regent Philippe, Duke of Orleans, administering his fortune and living with his son until 1737. During this period he opened his salon to the philosophers Tully, the Marquis of La Fère and Voltaire, and collaborated in the legislative labours of the Chancellor de Gaulle. In March 1737 d'Argenson was appointed Director of the Censorship of Books, in which post he showed sufficiently liberal views to gain the approval of writers, a rare thing in the reign of Louis XV. He only retained this post for a year. He became President of the Grand Council, Intendant of the Généralité of Paris, was admitted to the King's Council. In January 1743 d'Argenson was appointed Secretary of State for War in succession to Baron de Breteuil. As Minister for War he had a heavy task. The French armies engaged in the War of the Austrian Succession were disorganized, and the retreat from Prague had produced a disastrous effect. After consulting with Marshal Saxe, he began the reform of the new armies. To assist recruiting, he revived the old institution of local militias, which, however, did not come up to his expectation. In the spring of 1744, 3 armies were able to resume the offensive in the Netherlands, Germany and Italy, and in the following year France won the Battle of Fontenoy, at which d'Argenson was present. After the peace in 1748, d'Argenson occupied himself with the important work of recasting the French army on the model of the Prussian. He unified the types of cannon, grouped the grenadiers into separate regiments, and founded the École Militaire for the training of officers. An edict of the 1st of November 1751 granted patents of nobility to all who had the rank of general officer. In addition to his duties as Minister of War, he had the supervision of the printing, postal administration and general administration of Paris. He was responsible for the arrangement of the Promenade of the Champs-Élysées and for the plan of the present Place de la Concorde. He was exceedingly popular, and, although the court favourites hated him, he had the support of the king. Nevertheless, after the attempt of Robert François d'Amiens to assassinate King Louis XV, Louis abandoned d'Argenson to the machinations of the court favourites and dismissed both him and his colleague, the Comte d'Arnouville. D'Argenson was exiled to his chateau and estates at Les Ormes near Saumur, but he had previously found posts for his brother, René Louis, Marquis d'Argenson, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, for his son Marc-René as Master of the Horse, and for his nephew Marc-Antoine René as Commissary of War. For the time of his exile he lived in the society of savants and philosophers. He had been elected member of the Académie des Inscriptions in 1749. Diderot and D'Alembert dedicated the Encyclopédie to him, and Voltaire, Charles Jean-François Renaud, and Jean-François Marmontel openly visited him in his exile. After the death of Madame de Pompadour he obtained permission to return to Paris, and died a few days after his return, on the 22nd of August 1764.